So what I have here is a 2012. It's running slow, and the reason why it's running slow at the moment, you might not actually see, but as you can see, my mouse is kind of barely movable. The reason why it's actually running slow because the screen is damaged. It's got a chip, which is I taped it here and here. Well, it needs a new screen to fix the slowness because it has some firmware throttling basically. So when there's a problem with the hardware, it actually underclocks and it just the processor completely underclocks. Like I'm not literally doing anything, and the actual processor is 100%. So it needs a new screen, but I don't want a new screen because the screen is actually expensive, and because of the chip, I mean the screen is still functioning. So I actually found a solution of how to disable this throttling, because I can, as you might want to see, the processor is not even running hot, it's just stays stable on 35 degrees, but it's throttling. So if you want to go to Google, just get an open core legacy patcher. It basically what it does, it rewrites the Apple bootloader to a custom bootloader with some specific custom features. And if you have this problem, what you want to do actually, it might be painful, but you need to get this app. It took me like at least 10 minutes because of how slow to verify and all the stuff. But if you get this app, Open Core Legacy Patcher, what you want to go to is actually go to the settings. Go to developer settings. And what you want to do is enable these two features. Disable firmware throttling, as you can say. It says here mainly applicable for the systems that severe throttling due to missing battery or display. I mean the display is not missing, but it's damaged. So you want to enable that. You want to take that off, and you also want to enable this disable XCPM, and that actually says it will forcefully disable on Ivy Bridge EP on newer Mac. So technically this 2012 does come with an Ivy Bridge processor. So I believe this issue is only happening from a 2012 and onwards. So you want to also enable that. As long as you enable those two features, that should be fine. When you're done there, just return to settings. Return again back to settings. And just click and build install OpenCore. Technically, I already done that. So just wait for that to load up and just basically select the main disk that you have the system on, which is it's actually my external disk, but just for testing purposes. There you go. Enable the disable firmware throttling, and it should say somewhere disabling XCPM, which is I don't see, but as long as those two features are enabled, that should be fine. And when it's done, just click install on the disk. Which is I'm not gonna do that because I've done that. And when the disks are loaded, just select the disk that you only mainly have the operating system installed on. I'm not going to do that, but just select one of those disks. And when you have selected, it will just ask to reboot, restart the machine, which is I'm going to do now. And I'm going to boot with a custom bootloader. So just restart the machine and make sure you hold the Alt key. That's pretty much it. And when the machine restarts, what you want to do, just hold the Alt key to get into the boot menu, and make sure you select the OpenCore EFI, because that's what you want to actually do. So don't select the actual standard one, just make sure you select the EFI one. That will load to the actual custom bootloader and just boot it up. And when that's loaded up, as you can see, actually, if I can get a mouse. Now the actual CPU is now firmware throttling, and it actually shows a acceptable temperatures. So again, in conclusion, as long as you enable as long as you can get this and just enable those two features, you're actually good to go. As long as these two are enabled, you should be fine. The only thing is, the fans will still ramp up high, but just make sure you enable Mac fan control just to reduce the fans. And I will actually suggest to put under something like, I don't know, like a GPU or a CPU that the most running the hottest one. So let's say you just select the GPU, click OK. That just will use the actual graphics card sensor, and as you can see, it's running perfectly fine. So that method will save from just getting a new screen actually.